The Minnesota Vikings are traveling to Chicago to face off with the Bears in this NFC North battle. So coming up on today's show, we got a full preview for you guys today as the Vikings are 3.5-point favorites in Chicago. But before we do so, if you guys want the Vikes to move the 9-2 on the season and beat the Chicago Bears, just give me a skull down below in the comments section. Make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day and let your purple pride be shown down there if you guys want the Vikings to beat the Bears. So coming up first on today's show, we are going to be deep diving into the entire Chicago Bears season, what has really gone wrong for Matt Eberflus, Caleb Williams, and crew. Then we also got my 5 keys to victory. How did the Vikings beat the Bears? And then finally, my score prediction for this Week 12 matchup. But I do want to share some injury news with you guys here first. Kevin O'Connell said yesterday during his press conference that Josh Oliver is dealing with a sprained left ankle, and he will be questionable versus the Chicago Bears. I don't expect Oliver to be out there. You know, Chicago, they got a really just bad playing field there in Chicago. So I don't think they're going to risk it, play Oliver. I expect TJ Hawkinson, his snaps over the last couple of weeks have been floating around 30. Expect that to get up to like 40, 45. But, you know, a big-time miss. Oliver's had a great season, but he is questionable with a sprained left ankle. But how does the Bears' schedule shake out so far? So they played 10 games. They're 4-6 on the season. Beat the Titans week 1, lost to the Texans and the Colts following that, beat a shorthanded Rams team, and then they beat the Panthers, went to London, beat the Jags. But since that bye, in week 7, they have been a disaster. Like the Hail Mary against the Commanders, got smoked by the Cardinals, smoked by the Patriots, and this last week, an absolute heartbreaker as Santos missed a game-winning field goal against the Green Bay Packers. And, you know, the biggest change we've seen with this Bears in the middle of the season was Chicago fired OC Shane Waldron, and they promoted Thomas Brown after the Patriots loss. So that is the biggest change. And, you know, their offense last week definitely looked a whole lot better. And, you know, we heard players come out and say how frustrated they were with Shane Waldron, so they made the change, going to Thomas Brown, and they definitely looked a whole lot better. But, you know, there was really no excuse for this Vikings defense not to come into Soldier Field and dominate on Sunday. Like, you know, the Bears offense, this is how they ranked so far this season, 23rd in points per game, 30th in third down percentage, 25th in total yards, 30th in pass yards, 22nd in rush yards per game. This is an offense that struggles. They pretty sure they're top 5 in the league in 3-and-outs offensively. So clearly they are just trying to get something that works there. And a big reason why they've been struggling is because of the quarterback play. You know, Caleb Williams, he's had ups and downs this season, but you know, he just looks like a rookie. And I think a lot of people expected him to, you know, come in the league, really light it up. And that just hasn't been the case. You know, he really struggles in the pocket. He does have some great backyard football type of throws, but still, the stats don't lie in the year. 61% completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio 9-5. He does have some good dual threat ability, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit on why that actually scares me with the Vikings defense. But, you know, his advanced stats, big time throw percentage sits at 2.8 on the season, turnover worthy play percentage 2.1, adjusted completion percentage 72.8, average time to throw at 3 seconds. So that's how all the raw numbers shake out for Caleb Williams. But I went back and I watched a whole lot of his tape over the last couple of weeks, and you know, this is what I got to say. The good with Caleb Williams on the left side, the bad is on the right. I think the good, backyard football. And what I mean by that, when the play's off script and he's getting out of the pocket, he is one of the better quarterbacks in the league at just making stuff happen. And also, the Bears ran Caleb Williams 9 times last week for 70 yards. I expect to see a whole lot more designed runs this week. He actually does a great job of getting skinny, hitting the holes. So, you know, give him credit there. And then also his arm talent, the arm angles, he's got it. You know, we knew that coming out of USC. But, you know, the bad with him, shaky in the pocket, doesn't have good feet. I feel like his feet doesn't necessarily always match up with his upper body, which, you know, leads to the inconsistencies from the pocket, which is definitely a negative. And then his processing. And this is where I really think the Vikings defense can cause some troubles for Caleb, and I'll talk about that here more in a second. But, you know, there's really no excuse for Caleb in terms of the weapons he has. It's so funny. Before the year, we all were hearing, oh, this is the best support system a rookie quarterback has ever walked into. And it's just funny how the conversation has just completely changed. I understand the offensive line play in Chicago has not been good, but he's throwing the DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roman Odunze, Cole Kmet, and he has DeAndre Swift in the backfield. And, you know, what I just mentioned about Caleb not being the best processor. I think the Vikings defense should and will have Caleb Williams seeing ghosts this Sunday. That was my biggest gripe with him coming out of USC. He just can't process the field too well, and we know the Vikings are going to show him the typical mug look, 7, 8 guys lined up, and you just got to pick and choose who's coming. I think the Vikings defense should be set up for success this Sunday, and I swear how mad I will be Monday morning if I wake up and I see the stat sheet and Caleb Williams has 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, but I think that's very unlikely. I think Brian Flores and crew should be set up for success this Sunday. But let's talk about their defense here. This is definitely the strength of their football team. Ranking 12th in yards per game, 7th in points per game. And, even though Matt Eberflus, he's a joke of a head coach, nobody really respects him throughout the NFL, but he is an elite defensive mind. And I want to highlight 2 players here as they got 2 blue chippers on this side of the field. Jalen Johnson, in my opinion, still the best cornerback in the National Football League. He is fantastic. Teams just don't even target him anymore. That's how impactful he is. And then Montez Sweat, one of the best edge rushers in the league. I thought this was a great trade made by Ryan Poles last year, and he has been very, very impactful. But start off with Jalen Johnson. And, he's had some pretty good games against Jefferson throughout his career, but the PFF grade so far, 72.8 overall, run defense 82.8, coverage 69 overall. So the PFF grades aren't going to blow you away, but this man is a tremendous football player, a true all-pro caliber corner, and I'm assuming he's just going to be following Justin Jefferson the whole game. So, hey, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson are going to have to get it going. And then, Vikings are going to have their hands full with this guy, Montez Sweat. He's not the typical pass rush artist where it's he's going to go average, 12, 15 sacks a year, but he is great in the run game. He attracts double teams at a very, very high rate. And if you leave him one-on-one, even though it should be Brian O'Neill over there, which I'll feel comfortable with him taking on that one-on-one matchup, but if they pop him inside and he's going against Brandell or Dalton Reisner, watch out for this man, Montez Sweat, and wrecking this game. So my quick take here on the Vikings heading into this matchup. If you get the 20 points, you will win this football game. And it's on these 2 guys because I know Brian Flores and crew, they're going to show up. They show up every freaking Sunday. I have full faith in them, delivering a solid game plan and executing out there. But these 2, Darnold, KOC, you get the 20 points this Sunday. I guarantee you we will be celebrating a 4th straight victory Monday here on the channel. But I'll ask you guys this. What say you? Over under 19.5 points for the Vikings versus the Bears. Give me an O for over or give me a U for under down below in the comments section. Now coming up next, how do the Vikings move to 9-2? I'll explain my thoughts here in a second. But first off, I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Public Rec. And for a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use code CHAT20 at checkout. That's 20% off with the code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. Let's be real, guys. Wearing nice pants suck. Who decided that stiff, uncomfortable fabric squeezing your family jewels was the key to looking sharp? Well, here's an early holiday gift from me to you. Those days are finally over. Public Rec's Daymaker pants are here to make sure you stay comfy and classy this season. They feel like your favorite sweats, but look like tailored pants. Yep, super stretchy with an elastic waistband, so you can rock them anywhere. They also have sweet sweatshirts. I'm rocking one right now. I was getting all types of compliments. Actually, yesterday when I got off from work, my girlfriend said, "Hey, I love that sweatshirt. Where'd you get it from? I might want to get one for my dad." I told her, publicrec.com/chat20, and you'll get 20% off. So give the gift of comfort to yourself or someone you love this holiday season with Public Rec's Daymaker pants. And for a limited time, you can get 20% off your entire order with code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. That's 20% off when you use promo code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. I'll put that link for you guys in the comment section and description of today's show. But massive shout out to Public Rec for sponsoring today's edition of Vikings Now. So key to victory number 1, pressure Caleb Williams. Again, a lot of these are just going to be chalk kind of keys for me this week. But, hey, get home to Caleb Williams. And I'm going to highlight 3 guys right here. As I think the Vikings, undisputed, have the best 3 edge rushers in the National Football League in terms of a trio. Jonathan Grenard, 7 sacks, 9 TFLs. Van Ginkel has been unbelievable. I mean, you got to think about what Van Ginkel has done. 8 sacks, 13 TFLs, 46 tackles, and the icing on the cake with Van Ginkel, the man has 2 pick sixes. He has been awesome. Really the most versatile player in the National Football League. But then Patrick Jones II, he's coming on. 7 sacks on the season as well. 10 TFLs. He had 2 last week. He has been awesome. And, maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I'm drinking too much purple Kool-Aid here. But I think this is a terrible matchup for Caleb Williams. I understand the Bears. From their perspective, they're probably saying, oh, the Vikings corners aren't as good. Our weapons on the outside should dominate. But not a team in the National Football League this season has been able to run on the Vikings. And if you get this Bears offense in the 3rd and long, you're just going to ask Caleb Williams over and over again to make the right read, process the defense well. And I just don't think that's going to happen this Sunday. So key to victory number 1, just make number 18's life a living hell this Sunday. And number 2 for me, I kind of hinted at it that I think Jalen Johnson is going to do a good enough job on Justin Jefferson where Darnold just can't force the ball his way. So number 2, I got the other guys, and the biggest other guy in the National Football League, he finally got going a little bit last week, but the fact that his numbers on the year are 24 receptions, only 360 yards, it needs to be more than that. Jordan Addison, he's one of the most talented football players in the league. We saw it, especially on that deep crossing route that he took to the house. Like, the speed's there, the talent is there. Just get him the football a little bit more this weekend, and the Vikings should be successful offensively. And then also T.J. Hawkinson. We talked about the Vikings adding in a quick passing game. This is your option to that. Have him run just quick option routes on the outside. Get him the football where he can take a 3-yard out to a 5-yard gain. That's what I would do. But still, on the season, only 13 receptions, under 12 yards. I understand this is only in 3 games so far. But, hey, get these guys the football. Don't just focus in on Justin Jefferson. I know how impactful he is, but you got other guys that are super, super talented on this team. And number 3 for me, I'm just going to put this as be ready to adjust. So, the Vikings over the past couple of weeks, their run game has just gone down the drain here. It has been awful. And a quick thought I had, if you come out in the first half and can't run the ball again, just like the last 4 weeks, just bail on it. I'm sick of kind of Kevin O'Connell almost just being like, oh, no, we need to run the football. We need to have this part of our offense. I don't necessarily think that's true. You have so much talent on the outsides. If the run game isn't there, if Montez Sweat is dominating this football game, quick pass game, get it out wide. And, yards per carry over the last 4 games for the Vikings is just terrible. 2.9 against the Rams, 4.2 against the Colts, and then back-to-back games against pretty terrible football teams, you're averaging less than 3 yards per carry. For the rest of the season, especially in the playoffs, if these are the numbers, you won't win a playoff game. I'm just going to say that right now. You're going to put too much pressure on Sam Darnold, and their ideal identity for this team would be a strong run game, strong defense. It's kind of the opposite. It's like your passing game's your strength and your defense is your strength. I would honestly rather have it be the opposite on that, but yeah, it's definitely got to change. And then number 4, win the turnover battle. I say this every week. Vikings are 23-3 under Kevin O'Connell when they win or tie the turnover battle, and it starts with the quarterback. Sam Darnold right now is still leading the league in turnovers this year at 14. If he takes care of the football, he did it last week. He is a very good quarterback. So, Darnold, take care of the football. We should be winning this Sunday. And then number 5, I'm going to put this as sense of urgency because there is still an outside chance that the Vikings, Week 18 in Detroit, that could be for the number 1 seed in the entire NFC. If you lose this game, there's no chance at that. So, if your hopes are to land the number 1 seed in the NFC this year, this is a must-win game, no doubt. Because the tiebreakers, the shakeouts, the divisional games, the Vikings are going to need to do this or need to win this game. And honestly, their schedule over the next 5 games, think about this. The Vikings are 8-2. You're going to probably be field goal favorites in the next 4 games at least. Probably a pick 'em in Seattle on the road week 16. But if you just handle business over these next 4 weeks and then you somehow win in Seattle, the Vikings got a chance to be 13-2, as crazy as that sounds. So number 1 seed, it's still out there. First off, you got to handle business in Chicago. So predict the score for me. Vikings versus Bears this weekend. Let me know your thoughts down below. But my score prediction, I'm going to go Vikings win 17-12 in an ugly game. I think the defense is going to be the story yet again, and I think the Vikings offense would do just enough to get us another win. But if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, handle is @PatSeeps. Give me a follow over there. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.